The agenda for the council meeting of February 23rd agenda be approved as circulated. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. And if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose that now as the meeting goes along. We have 9 items under our consent agenda. Is there anyone want any of these items pulled, or you have questions on them? Seeing no questions, we do have a motion that the items 5.1.1 to 5.1.9 is set out on the consent agenda for the February 2023 regular meeting of council be received for information, and further that the minutes of February 7, 2023 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we do have one delegation tonight, and that's Mr. Joe Phelan from the president of the Milverton Lions Club. And we welcome you to council, and you can take a chair at the table there, please, and the floor is yours.
Mayor Agats, councillors, and Perthy staff, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. You've had a chance to review the letter proposal that I put in your agenda tonight. I'll just touch on a few points of that. Otherwise, I'll just go through a few key things. I just want to say thank you as well to Perthy staff and council members, both current council and past council, and past staff members, just for all the work and support you do on the trails in this community. It's been really exciting as a volunteer and as a resident of Milverton and Perth East to see the development in such a short time. So I became involved in the trail network here with the G2G Rail Trail probably 13 years ago now, and I never thought that I'd see 2 trail networks now working out of Milverton. So that's as a cycling enthusiast, outdoor lover, trail lover, it's really exciting to see, and I'm sure I'm not the only one as a resident and not the only one as a tourist. In fact, we probably have 20 kilometers of trail now intersecting through Milverton. So that's what this proposal here tonight from the Milverton Lions Club is about. We have been participating, myself personally, and as a Lions Club, we've been participating in the Parks and Recreation Services Master Plan, so the public consultation and some of the Zoom meetings that happened over the last few years. We became excited to hear about the Greenwood Park revitalization plans with the donation of the land, and to expand that park was something that aligns with the Lions Club global causes in terms of the environment project. So it's something that we feel our club can jump on board with quite easily and support in many different ways. Really 2 projects that we want to see happen in that park expansion and revitalization is the green space, so with the extension of the trail that will connect the G2G Rail Trail at the north and then Greenwood Park at the south. We would like to see the creation of a Lions Memorial Forest, as well as the construction of an accessible washroom facility, which we've learned through public consultations and feedback from the community and trail users that accessible facilities and services like washrooms, pavilions, things like that are much needed in these small communities as well as in the trail network. As people plan their journeys, they want to know where they can park, where they can start, stop, where they can have a layover, where they can get a drink of water, where they can use the washrooms as they do in multi-hour, multi-day, multi-week treks throughout the province. So those are the 2 projects that that we're proposing to get involved with. Like I said, they do align with some of the planning that has been done in Perth East, and they've also aligned with some of the planning that's being done at the county level. There's a lot of talk around town and in the county about the natural environment designation and things like that being developed and incorporated into the official plan, the new official plan that's still being worked on. if we have a memorial forest, if we have these expansions of trail networks on land that has been donated and gifted, and it just seems like the proper fit for Perth East to become involved with, and that's where our Lions Club is there to support you. And everything that I put in that proposal, it is just that. It is a proposal right now. It's a proposal to create a plan, so there is still a lot of planning to be done, and it really depends on what happens with the Greenwood Park expansion and whether Perth East is for sure going ahead with the trail expansion when that happens. So if the new trailway that connects to the G2G doesn't happen this year, if it happens next year, we've got to kind of align our project planning with that. We might be able to get started with some tree planting early on, just to start growing up under the mature trees in Greenwood Park, and we can definitely get started with the washroom facility. But the main goal that we're requesting your approval is to have that 462 meters of trail reserved for the Lions Club to create this memorial forest, as it's been a project that we've talked about for a number of years now, and we've just been waiting for the right opportunity to jump on that. And what we want to do with that is just recognize and memorialize, honor not just Lions Club members that have passed, but also open it up to the public to memorialize their friends, family, neighbors, or people of significant importance in Perth East. The washroom facility, again, that's something that we would have to collaborate with Perth East on to make sure that it is going to be accessible and meets all those requirements for accessibilities and security. Being a public use space, we want to make sure it's safe for everybody. Funding for this project, definitely we'll have some funds through the Lions Club and our regular fundraising community projects that we do already. We're going to actively seek out grants. There's public grants available, tree-specific grants available that we can seek out and apply for. And some of your staff members are Sydney's great at sending out that communication of what grants are coming up, their due date, when to apply, what's required, and if Perth East can help us, being that they're a registered charity. So all those things are important. We appreciate that support, so we will seek out those. And then the sale of memorial trees. So if we start this memorial forest, if we put a price tag on them and open them up, any revenue generated from the sale of trees will definitely go back into just keep supporting that project for the washroom facilities and planting more trees and whatever else we can support with any revenue there. That's the last thing on the funding, I think we would request that that does flow through the township. Being that you are a registered charity, we would utilize that just so people making donations can receive a donation receipt. So that's the other request there that's not included in the original proposal. Any questions?
Okay, any questions from members of council? No questions, but thank you very much. We really appreciate that your organization wants to help out, and we will look at this under new business when we get to there. So,
all right.
Thanks again for coming, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we do not have any public hearings or public meetings, so we'll move to planning is the next item. And the first item is Stephanie Van from the Perth County Planner is going to give us an update on the new official plan. So Stephanie's joined us on Zoom, so welcome, Stephanie, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mary Gitz, and good evening, members of council. I believe I'll just share my own presentation if that works, so just give me 1 second.
Good, we can see it.
Perfect. So today I'll be presenting on an update to the new official plan project. And this has been a large joint project done with the county staff from planning, GIS, and IT and communications. And I'm glad to be here to be giving this update. So we'll first start with the background on the new official plan, and then we'll continue with the recent milestones and what we've been doing the past few months, starting with policy text in the first draft of the OP, mapping in the first draft of the OP, growth planning, natural environment public consultation, and committees and stakeholder focus group. And finally, we'll end off with next steps. So we'll start with the background information. The graphic here is currently on our webpage and will be updated in the next few weeks. The major changes that we'll see in this update are to the timeline. So phase 3, which is the draft version of the OP, which is also the current phase we're in, is aiming to be accomplished in the spring of 2023 instead, with phase 4, public outreach, starting in summer of 2023. And phase 5 finalization will be starting in fall of 2023. So the new official plan for the county has been under development since 2018. WSP consulted with the public in 2018 and 2019, and then drafted the policy text using the background studies and latest legislation and policy updates. County staff, again, in planning, GIS, IT, and communications have produced all of the mapping, project management, and education and consultation materials with council, various provincial ministries, and the public. And it's really been a large team effort in accomplishing what we have so far. So in this slide, we can see that phase 3 is broken down into 4 major tasks: engaging technical committees and stakeholder groups, editing the drafted policy text, double checking proposed mapping updates, and preparing the proposed growth areas for discussion. Now, of these 4 tasks, we have accomplished 2 of them. So firstly, editing the draft policy text. And secondly, we've also accomplished double checking the proposed mapping. The 2 other tasks are currently underway, with committees and stakeholder group meetings to start at the end of March and continuing until May. And then finally, the growth area discussion will be forthcoming with the draft of the land needs memorandum recently received from Watson. So in this slide, we'll be talking about the policy text in the first draft of the new OP. So the policy text has been edited by planning staff and has been sent back to WSP. The text has gone through internal review and edits for readability purposes and for policy review. Various updates and changes have happened to the draft OP over the past few months due to Bill 23 and Bill 109. So edits have been incorporated as more information on the new bills have been released and interpreted. Many milestones have been accomplished in the past few months with the GIS and planning team in developing necessary mapping materials. Milestones include all special policies, OPAs, and urban fringe designations have been reviewed against the draft text to ensure any need for carryover as well as compatibility. The aggregate resource land use designation is currently being updated with MNRF data. And MDS has been calculated and mapped for all livestock operations within 1.5 kilometer of service settlement areas. These calculations are being considered for growth planning. Shakespeare is the final and next settlement area to complete, as Atwood, Listowel, Mitchell, and Milverton have all been completed. And the next steps and priorities for GIS will be preparing and producing visual aid materials for committees and stakeholder focus group meetings, developing public engagement materials, building a formal set of maps for the final draft OP, and finally, updating the natural environment mapping in batches. So in this slide, we'll be discussing growth planning. The last memorandum received from Watson was the Growth Projections Memorandum, which was received in October of 2022. A draft to the Land Needs Memorandum was received last week from Watson, and earlier this week, staff reviewed questions with Watson. And planning staff are scheduling a meeting with Watson and MMAH to review the new findings from the memo. And a report to County Council will be scheduled once the memo is finalized. A final report will be produced by Watson in the spring, and the findings of which will be integrated into the draft OP and will mainly be used to justify and identify areas needed for growth. The natural environment public consultation process started in October 2022, And since then, we have received inquiries from over 350 landowners. We've sent out over 200 hard copy maps through mail or email. We've received over 135 site visit requests from landowners. And we've conducted approximately 20 site visits with landowners. Site visits are currently on pause due to scheduling issues with unpredictable weather seen in the winter. And site visits will resume in the spring, with ecologist site visits to start in the spring as well. An ecologist is in the final stages of being contracted and will be contracted by the end of February. We are additionally updating our FAQs on our website on an ongoing basis based on what is heard from landowners, and our next update will be happening within the next few weeks. So we are currently preparing for committees and stakeholder focus group meetings. The draft LP has been split into 5 theme areas: how we live, how we grow, where we work, resources, and development applications. Each meeting will consist of one of the theme areas, and the committee and stakeholder focus group meetings will be used as the foundation to edit the draft OP and build better tools for public consultation. And meetings are aimed to start in late March and go on until May. So for our next steps and priorities, we're focusing on reporting the land needs memo from Watson to County Council, and the findings from this memo will finalize our proposed growth plan. We're working on preparing for committee and stakeholder focus group meetings. We're continuing with the ongoing natural environment public consultation. We're starting to prepare for our general public consultation. So public consultation is estimated to start in June and to continue for approximately 12 weeks. And with our recent milestones, we're planning to keep the public up to date, and we'll be updating our website to show any updates to the timeline, accomplished milestones, and any upcoming next steps. So this is a draft of the updated timeline, which is set to be published in the next few weeks. It's meant to highlight our current timeline, what's being accomplished right now, and also identifying how the natural environment public consultation falls into the new official plan process work. Again, we can see that we plan to complete our committee and stakeholder focus group for the spring, with public consultation starting in the summer, and simultaneously we'll be continuing our natural environment consultation with site visits resuming in the spring. And this is my last slide here, so that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you, and I'll pass it back to the mayor and open the floor to questions.
Okay, any questions from members of council for Stephanie on the official plan? Amanda?
Thank you, Stephanie, for your presentation. I just have a question and a comment. You had mentioned about getting data from MNRF, I believe on the mapping slide. Could you just elaborate what specifically that data is related to?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your question. So for the mapping, I think the comment you're specifically asking about is for our aggregate resource land use designation. So we are updating our aggregate land use designation, and the data we're receiving from, or the data we're getting from MNRF is just going to be based on the aggregate information. So what is currently a licensed pit and kind of aggregate information around that.
Okay, great. That's awesome. And then the second is just more of a comment, and it might not be your wheelhouse, but something you can maybe take back to the team. So in your presentation, you talked about web updates and ensuring that the public is up to date and informed. And my only comment is that that's great, but I think it's imperative that there's a communication strategy around, people have to know to look at the website. And so people, the average person doesn't go and search the County of Perth's website, looking for these types of updates unless they know that they're coming. And so I think there needs to be a bit of a communication strategy around how do we, encourage people to look for those changes, that type of thing. So I just hope that that's looked at with the communications team to ensure that the public knows where to find that information.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. I'll be sure to bring it forward. For our natural environment public consultation web updates, we will be emailing those that we have their emails on file with, letting them know that there isn't a website update, just because the landowners who we have their emails on file, I think the web updates are, I guess, I'd say like most important to them. Like some of our web updates in the upcoming update are going to be like what site visits look like, what the timeline looks like. And the reason we're updating with that type of information as well is because we've heard from landowners again, wondering what the timeline is going to look like. But I'll definitely take your comment forward on how to ensure that other members of the public are aware of the updates that are happening.
Okay, any other questions? If not, thanks, Stephanie, for your report. We have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the planner dated February 23, 2023, entitled Update New Official Plan Project for Information. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the next planning report is a consent to sever application by Wagler's, Wendy Darlene Wagler, and I believe Susanna's going to do that report. So Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Ronda, and good evening, Council. This is a consent application in the Southeast Hope ward. It's west of Sebastopol on line 29. If we go to the next slide, it shows the location of the property. 2338 line, that should say line 29, there's a typo. And so the property is owned by Wendy Wagler, and this is an application for a surplus farm dwelling severance. The planning report that you received reviews the surplus farm dwelling policies in the Perth County official plan. We reviewed the application against those policies, and you can see that the planning department is recommending that the application be approved with the conditions listed. The retained parcel is undersized, so there's a recommendation that when the rezoning occurs, so one of the conditions would be a rezoning of both the severed parcel and the retained parcel, that the undersized farm lot, the retained land, be recognized. And there's a few slides to walk you through the application. So the next slide. This is the red outlined is the retained parcel, and the yellow outline is the severed piece. The severed piece is 0.39 of a hectare. The retained parcel is slightly more than 20 hectares. There's a typo in the first paragraph of the report. The next slide. So this is the severed parcel on the survey sketch on the left, and an air photo of the buildings on the right. There is a large shed on the property, and you can see on the sketch that the shed is proposed to stay with the farmland. There are no livestock in the shed. It's not hasn't been used for animals. The house is a small bungalow built in 1981. Go to the next slide. This is standing on line 29 looking west, so you can see the houses on the right. That's the bungalow. And the next slide is from Google Images, and that shows the barn and the house on the property. So the application has been brought to Perth East Council for your comments. The recommendation is that Perth East Council recommend that the application be approved and forwarded to the Land Division Committee or its delegate with the conditions listed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of council? No questions. Okay, we have a motion. The Council of the Township of Perth East received a report dated February 23, 2023, prepared by the planner entitled Consent to Sever Application File B51-22 Wagler, filed by J. Andrew Phillips on behalf of Wendy Darlene Wagler, affecting lands described as East Part Lot 24, Concession 4, 2338, Line 29, Southeast Hope Ward, for information. And that council recommends that the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate approve consent to sever application file B51-2022 subject to the following conditions. And there are 8 conditions, and I'll give you the Reader's Digest. And number 1, that all taxes have been paid to Perth East. Number 2, confirmation be received that all financial requirements have been met for Perth East. Confirmation from number 3, confirmation from Perth East that the apportionate schedule for municipal drains in the area be reviewed and updated to the satisfaction. Number 4, that confirmation be received by the Township of Perth East. The amendment to the Township implementing zoning bylaw has been adopted to zone the proposed severed lot to permit only a dwelling and accessory uses, buildings, and structures. Number 5, that confirmation be received that an amendment to the Township of Perth East implementing zoning bylaw be adopted to zone the retained farm lot to prohibit any new permanent residential dwellings and recognize a reduced lot area. Number 6, confirmation that both the severed and the retained farm lots have been assigned a municipal address and that each lot contain a municipal address sign with the cost of any new signage being borne by the applicants. Number 7, an entrance permit be provided to the retained parcel to the satisfaction of the Township of Perth East. And number 8, the Township of Perth East provide a clearing letter stating that all municipal requirements have been addressed. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Bob. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks. And the next one is a deeming bylaw for John and Patricia Wolf. And Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So a deeming bylaw is not a very common application in Perth East or Perth County. A deeming bylaw, it allows properties that are created in a plan of subdivision where the plan of subdivision is more than 8 years old for the council to approve a deeming bylaw to deem those lots outside of a plan of subdivision. So if they're adjacent in the same title, then they act as if they're merged. So this application has been received from John and Patricia Walsh. They own a property in Sebringville, and they own the neighboring block as well, where there is a well house. So they have applied for a deeming bylaw to have the effect of merging the block where the well is and the lot where their house is. And I'll walk you through the slide so you can understand the application. So we go to the next slide, please. This is the location of the property in Sebringville. And the next slide is zoomed in a bit further. It's so the address of the house is 110. The house is at 110 Red Maple Lane, and the location of the well house is 116 Red Maple Lane in Sebringville. So these properties were created in Plan 496, and the house is Lot 2, and the well house is Block 13. If we go to the next slide. So the red outline, so this is the registered plan 496 that created this subdivision with the road, Red Maple Lane. And the properties outlined in red are Lot 2. You can see the number 2 on the slide, and this is in your package as well. And then Block 13 immediately south of that. So again, the application is that council approve a deeming bylaw to deem these two parcels, Lot 2 and Block 13, to be outside of the plan of subdivision. John and Patricia Walsh own both of them, and the effect that will have is that these will act then as one parcel. They'll be consolidated into one PIN abstract at the Land Registry Office, and it won't be possible to convey either one independently. They'll act as one parcel. So a couple of photos of the buildings on those properties. This is the house at 110 Red Maple Lane. And the next slide is a picture of the well house, which is behind the spruce tree at the back. So you can see the garage at the right, and then behind the trees, the well house is there. I think that's the last slide. If you advance one more, Matt. I think it's the last one, though. Is that? Yeah, okay. All right, so the department's recommendation is that council approve the deeming bylaw, and the deeming bylaw then is in effect when it's registered at the Land Registry Office. That's a specific reference in the Planning Act. So the final recommendation is that the clerk be directed to register the approved deeming bylaw at the Land Registry Office.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from anyone? No? Okay, so we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report dated February 23, 2023, prepared by the planner entitled Request for Deeming Bylaw File number D25-01-2023-PE, submitted by Matthew Orchard of Monteith Ritzma Phillips on behalf of John and Patricia Walsh, affecting lands described as Lot 2, Plan 496, and Block 13, Plan 496, 110, Red Maple Lane, and 116 Red Maple Lane, Stephenville, for information, and that council approve deeming bylaw number 05-2023, and that the clerk be directed to register the approved deeming bylaw at the Land Registry Office. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. More comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Great, thanks, Susanna. Okay, we're going to move on to the CAO, and we have the naming of the pavilion and walking path. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Riggins. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I don't think to the report. I think it's well alone. Certainly, I won't take credit for the idea. It's the collaboration with staff, and I think plus we've had some complication with representation. This is family the idea and certainly we should not try to keep it there.
Okay, any questions of the report? Jerry?
Yeah, my question was going to be about the family, making sure that they were consulted, but it sounds like they were. That's great. No, this is, I think, an excellent way to show Mr. Geese his contribution to the pavilion and the walkway. So I think this is an excellent way to show that. Thanks.
Okay, Jeremy?
This is the pavilion and the walking paths at the perk. The trail system. Have we discussed a name for that as well, or are we to be doing that in the future too? The ones out Mill Street, sorry, just as a part of naming these things.
So, yeah, I guess staff has had some conversation about the concept of the future. This, because of the passing of we wanted to address restrictions. I do think that at some point it would be imperative for council and staff to work on an actual process of the trails and things of that nature, so that we all understand what that looks like. Yeah, just in conversations that I've had with staff that have been ad hoc, and this is ad hoc as well, so we have to go into it. But I think the concept of detail is something that's important, and yeah, all of it. But the intent for this is
Okay, any more questions? If not, we do have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled Perth East Recreation Center, Perk Pavilion and Walking Paths Naming, CAO-2023-03, dated February 23, 2023, prepared by the Chief Administrative Officer for information, and further that Council authorize staff to proceed with procurement of and an installation of commemorative signage at the pavilion and walking paths for installation in the spring of 2023. Moved by Amanda, second by Jerry. More comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're going to move to the clerk's department, and we have a Renneker Municipal Drain, and Eric, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So staff received a Section 78 request by landowner Augustin Walsh, who owns lot 23 and 24, concession 1 in Ellis Ward, and he is looking to upgrade the Renneker Municipal Drain. It's currently an open ditch municipal drain which flows east into the East Black Creek, and he would just like to enclose it. So next steps would be to give notice to the Secretary Treasurer of the Conservation Authority, which is UTRCA in this instance, and then we will have a report coming back to appoint an engineer. If there's any questions, I can answer. Thanks.
Okay, any questions of the report? Nope. Okay, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the request for repair and improvement Section 78 of the Drainage Act by property owner Augustine Walsh for the Renneker Municipal Drain, lots 23 and 24, concession 1, Ellis Ward, Township of Perth East, for information. And that further, that in accordance with Section 78, 2 in bracket of the Drainage Act, the appointment of an engineer will be considered at the April 4, 2024 or 2023?
Sorry, 2023. That's
2023 regular meeting of council subsequent to the notice advising of the proposed drainage works being sent to the Secretary Treasurer of the Conservation Authority that have jurisdiction over the lands in the affected area. Moved by Amanda, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Eric's got 2024 in his mind. That's when he's getting married. Okay, thanks. Okay, now we're going to move to finance, and Paula has a few reports. So the first one is the planning fee update. So Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Eggetts. So the report before council tonight is updating the fees and charges bylaw for the planning section, Schedule C, and staff have requested the addition of a deeming bylaw fee. As you can see previously tonight, there was a deeming bylaw that came forward. There's a lot of research and investigation put into that time from staff, and we're proposing to add the fee of $500 for this. So if there's any further questions, I can try and answer them.
Okay, any questions of the report? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report dated February 23, 2023, entitled 2023 Planning Fee Update, CAO-2023-04, FIN-2023-04, prepared by the CAO and Treasurer for information, and further that Council approve the 2023 planning rates as presented, and further that 3 readings be given to Bylaw 06-2023, being a bylaw to amend Bylaw 57-2022, fees and charges bylaw. Mover and a seconder, moved by Amanda, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and then the recreation complex fee update. Paula?
Okay, so the next report council has is another update to the fees and charges bylaw for Schedule D, the recreation fees. And it came to our attention after the November 1st meeting where the bylaw went forward that there was several fees that were missed in the recreation schedule. So we're proposing to add them tonight and to get that schedule updated, as well as the recreation rates run from April 1st to March 31st in a year. So the schedule just makes that clear as well. And that's my report if there's any further questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, no questions. The Council of the Township of Perth East received a report dated February 23, 2023, entitled 2023 Recreation Complex Fee Update, RCS-2023-04, FIN-2023-05, prepared by the Recreation and Community Services Manager and Treasurer for information, and further that Council approve the 2023 Recreation Complex rates as presented, and further that 3 readings be given to bylaw 06/2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 57-2022, fees and charges bylaw. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. And then we are at the water and wastewater fee update.
Okay, so the next report on the table is the update to the fees and charges bylaw for Schedule G, the water and wastewater updates. And these are the annual updates for 2023 for the water and wastewater systems. The proposed rates were based on, we look at the 3-year average of the volume usage, so the water usage and sewage usage, as well as the total number of customers. So for the water, customers are up by 3.18%, and wastewater customers have increased by 2.47%. This all helps in keeping the rates low. The more customers, the more you spread the fee across. Another portion that is looked at when evaluating the annual fees, and this relates to the capital surcharge, is the annual life cycle requirements for the various systems. So the water system, the life cycle requirement is up by 10.6%, and the wastewater system annual requirements is up by 17.8%. So the proposed changes to the fees, for the water operating rates, they're proposed to increase by 7.53%, the water capital rates by an 8.67%, and then the wastewater metered customers an increase of 2.78%, and then the flat rate customers an increase of 3.48%. And then the capital sewer charge is a proposed increase of 18.73%. So that 18.73% is a high number, but that relates back to that annual life cycle costing requirement, and that had increased by the 17.8%. So with the proposed fees that are brought forward tonight, there are small deficits within the operating systems. For the water system, it would just under $3,000, and the wastewater is just about $1,500. The capital recovery for both we're recovering full cost for the capital. The connection fees and service connections are proposed to increase by the CPI, the 5.867%. And the water meter replacement costs have been proposed to increase by our increased material costs. So for the average water bill, the bi-monthly increase would be at $9.15, or a total of just under $55 a year. And the wastewater bill bi-monthly increase would be just under $12, or an annual increase of $71. That's my report. If there's any further questions, I'll try and answer.
Okay, questions of the report? Hugh?
Yeah, on the capital surcharge for the wastewater systems, was it a particular item that's made it go up, or is it just a lot of items added together?
Through you, Mayor, I guess what that is over the last couple of years, there was a couple large projects that went forward. So they were updated into the assets, and that increased the costs for your life cycle replacement.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, then we do have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receives a report dated February 23, 2023, entitled 2023 Water and Wastewater Rates, PUB-2023-02, and FIN 2023-06, prepared by the Public Works Manager and Treasurer for information, and further that Council approve the 2023 water and wastewater rates as presented, and further that 3 readings be given to bylaw 06-2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 57-2022 fees and charges bylaw. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and then the last report is the 2023 building permit fee update. Paula?
So my final report tonight is the water wastewater Schedule H update to the fees and charges by, not the water wastewater, the building permit fees. I just did that one. Sorry. So for the building fees, we look at a 3-year historical building activity data when we're basing our fees. And when we've analyzed that for the 2020 to 2022 year, the existing building fees under bylaw 57-2022 will fully fund the anticipated 2023 building department budget. So it's being recommended to hold the fees where they are for now. And the only exception to that in Schedule H is the development charges, where the bylaw states that the development charges fees should be indexed annually. And the index this year came back at 15.6% for the Q3 non-residential building cost index. So those development charge fees have been increased in Schedule H to reflect that increase. And that's the end of the report. If there's any questions, I'll try and answer.
Okay, any questions of the report? Everybody's getting off too easy tonight, so. No questions? Okay, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report dated February 23, 2023, entitled 2023 Permit Fee Update, CBO-2023-03 and FIN-2023-07, prepared by the Chief Building Official and Treasurer for information. And further, that Council approve the 2023 permit fee rates as presented. And further, that 3 readings be given to Bylaw 06-2023, being a bylaw to amend Bylaw 57-2022 fees and charges bylaw. Mover and a seconder, moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Great, thanks Paula. Okay, now we have no reports from Public Works. We have no reports from Building and Bylaw, no report from Rec and Community Services, no report from Fire. We have no correspondence. So we'll move down to committee and council reports. Is there anything anyone wants to report on? Just at the county, we have finished the budget. It came in at 9.06. Of that, 5.2 is from the levy, and 2 point whatever the rest is to make up the 9 is from growth. So there's going to be a bylaw passed next Thursday at County Council, and that will finalize it. So, okay, I think that's, yeah, we'll receive that for information. We need a motion to receive that. Moved by Jeremy, second by you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we do have 2 bylaws. We have bylaw 05-2023, a bylaw to deem Lot 2, Plan 496 and Block 13, Plan 496 to be outside a plan of subdivision, and that was item 8.1.3 on our agenda. And the second one is bylaw 06-2023, and that's a bylaw to establish and require payment of fees and charges for services provided by the municipality and amend bylaw 57-2022. Need a motion to accept those bylaws. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. We have no need for a closed session. Do we have any notice of motions? New business? Yep. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. So the first new item of business is that we had Mr. Phelan here tonight on behalf of the Lions Club. So we receive it for information, and then do you want to send it to staff for some more information? There are some things going on around Greenwood Park with the school and with there's some moving parts. So just that we get everything coordinated. I think this is great that they want to help us out and do this, but we just want to coordinate it with staff. So is that, you move that?
I'd like to move that we,
Okay.
staff, for sure.
All right, let me read it and then, so the Council of Township of Perth East received a presentation from Joe Phelan, President, Milverton Lions Club, Greenwood Park Revitalization Project, Perth East Parks and Recreation Master Plan for information, and further that a staff report come back. Okay, moved by Jerry, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, don't forget about our budget meeting this coming Tuesday here at 7 p.m., correct? Okay, and then last Friday, I think it was, Jerry and Andrew and Mike and I, we attended the land stewardship meeting for Perth East. We had a good turnout. We came up with a lot of ideas, and so they're taking that all into consideration. There's, I think there's 3 more open houses yet. West Perth was supposed to be last night. They canceled it due to weather. It's going to be the 2nd of March now. Perth South was this afternoon, and when is North? I'm not sure when North Perth is, but they're having one too. That was the first one that we had last Friday that they've had. So it was a good turnout. Great ideas come forward, and they'll take that all into consideration. And that report will come back to County Council. So, any announcements? No? Geez, we're going to be out of here before 8 o'clock. So, confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw number 07-2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on February 23rd, 2023. You read it first, second, and third time. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. And the last motion of the night, that we adjourn at 7:51. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Great. Thanks, everyone. Great night. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you all later. Bye.